Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Deadfire with me, Bring It On. Let's continue exploring the Brass Citadel, starting with, I believe the guy said, Emayini?
Come to gawk, too? My punishment's over, you know.
She looks away and crosses her arms carefully to hide her burned hands. Why were you holding a red-hot cannonball? She glances back at you, a look of defiance in her eye.
I punched my captain.
Well, did he deserve it? It's as if the mere mention of the incident takes her back to it. Her face darkens with anger, and a bitter snarl transforms her features.
Though maybe he shouldn't have insulted my aim. Like I don't know the difference between a smooth and rifled bore.
She shakes her head, quietly stewing. Seems drastic.
He asked if I knew where I was pointing my cannons. I told him to bend over in front of one and we'd find out. It escalated from there. Anyway.
She shrugs.
I'm not reporting back to Okaya, that's for sure. I crewed on mercenary ships before this. Come to think of it, that suited me better.
She grins impishly.
Still a scramble root at heart, I guess. But I'm plenty experienced. Maybe I'll see if anyone's looking for an expert cannoneer.
I could use an experienced cannoneer on my crew. She looks you up and down, considering your offer.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I only crew with captains I know. Either personally or by reputation. I'm sure you're capable. But I don't know enough about you. Yet.
Her eyebrow quirks up in hopeful suggestion.
Let's talk again when you've made a name for yourself.
Okay, so we need to do some quests for the Royal Deadfire Company. Is what I'm assuming.
Cold as winter until suddenly she's not.
Meet her eye when you've got bad news. She respects that.
I don't think she likes me. I spent most of my career escorting foreign ships.
Many have. She's got nothing against scramble roots, but don't stare at her hand.
The notice reads, Service reserved for officers of the Royal Deadfire Company.
On it.
Someone named Payro is trouncing his opponent at Azatoa. Cargo manifest shows saltpeter received from Roatai and raw foodstuffs shipped back.
If this is about the Hazatoa tournament, I've got nothing to do with that, alright? I just serve the drinks.
He holds up his hands with the exhausted resignation of a man who's made his case many times. But what's this about Hazatoa?
Some of the soldiers and sailors get to making unwise bets when they play.
He rolls his eyes.
Like I said, I keep out of it. None of the regulars are looking for new opponents, though, if that's what you're asking. All the better for you, trust me.
Why do you work for the Royal Deadfire Company?
They always pay on time. They're run by the Ranganui, so they should, right?
He grins.
Also, I'm from a town near Takoa. Rautai's full of all kinds of kith, not just Amawa. But the Amawa have a long history at sea. They make up a lot of sailors and soldiers, including most of the ones that ended up here.
He nods. He nods vaguely at the bar. Not he nods at vaguely at the bar. I'd like to order something.
Sorry, I'm really only supposed to sell to captains working for the Royal Deadfire Company.
He taps a sign near the bar. I'm sure we could seek employment with them. Well, since the Ranganui wants to meet with us. Or the position right below the Ranganui.
All right. Which one of us am I thinking of now?
You be thinking of the Watcher.
That's 10 in a row. That's some talent you got.
Aye, the talent of noticing who you be glancing at before you ask me who you be thinking of.
Will do.
An inscription reads, "That which grows is strengthened," by Coral Mason Torquo. This map shows shipping routes from Deadfire to Rauatai. I think this one too. Skill too low. That's not the first time we've come across that. There's 2 containers in the Brass Citadel we can't lockpick yet. Need to keep that in mind. Alright, Fleetmaster Wakoyo.
Clear skies, my friend.
Okaya crosses his arms and tips his head to the side. The long scar traces a path down his face, curving sharply where his cheek rises with a smile. Calm seas.
The boats of our decorated armada have orders which spread them thinly across the archipelago. Rauatai finds itself in need of a privateer.
His brow rises as he speaks the word.
Your ship, unmoored from Deadfire politics, is an asset I would grasp with both hands. An arrangement can help us both. You will empty the seas of competition in exchange for profit.
Aren't you afraid that privateering will start a war?
An official reckoning is drafted to account for every cannonball shot in the name of Rauatai. Our paperwork is most thorough. For every ship sunk, there is a legal justification. Our enemies will know the war is started on the day we fail to turn in our paperwork.
What bounties do you have available?
A Scylla wave skipper is your first target. A pirate shirking any pretense of lawful conduct in the open seas.
Wakayo grimaces and itches at his scar. I'll take the bounty.
Most excellent. A Scylla commands the Voyager River Dragon, which pesters a group of islands to the southwest of Port Mage.
Before I go, I had some questions.
Ask away, my privateer. I would not have you take to the water uninformed.
Wakayo nods and plants his hands on his hips. I'm still hunting a Scylla wave skipper.
Our enemies sow discord in the waves while you tarry.
Wakayo raises his brow, appears closer to make sure he has your attention.
Let no one say aha the lazy privateer. Seek your target and be done.
Farewell. I think we've mapped out the entire Brass Citadel, except for the Imperial Command itself.
The Ranganui leads us, but he represents all of Rauatai.
I keep finding all these unique
must he
swords.
put his name on everything?
I like to find some unique shields to go with the swords that I'm
Share is
finding.
simpler.
Right.
The air around the coral thrums with life-sustaining magic. Finally get on me if I try to go to here, right? No, he does not care. To bore me. The young woman with a bright, wide smile and eyes to match raises her hand and gives you a quick but enthusiastic wave. Then, with an exaggerated look of embarrassment, she stops herself and crosses her forearms over her chest.
I always forget that part. Say, you're the Watcher of Cadnua, aren't you? I've never met anyone famous before. Except the Hazanui. She yells at me sometimes.
Her grin widens impossibly. The Hazanui yells at you.
Oh, all the time.
She screws her face up into a look of mock seriousness. Still, she can't keep from smiling.
Where's my white leaf? Stop daydreaming. So bore me, if you lose the ledgers again, I'll have you clean the latrines.
At this last comment, she leans close, her eyes wide and voice low with awe.
All this time, I didn't realize she knew my name.
Are you always this excitable?
It's just, this is my first time away from the rough country.
She blushes.
I'd heard there were thick, green forests and sandy beaches without a storm in sight, but I never imagined this.
She shakes her head in wonderment.
You must have traveled lots, seen all sorts of amazing places.
Subormi folds her hands under her chin, watching you intently. But why does this interest you so much?
I love Rawatai, but it's hard to go a week without seeing storms, or hearing about mudslides burying a village somewhere.
Her buoyant expression sags, but only for a moment. You're the quartermaster. Can you sell me something? Her face scrunches up in disappointment.
I really wish I could, but my supplies are for the Royal Deadfire Company and our allies. Hazanui's orders. Maybe if you impress her or Atsura, they could make an exception.
She smiles hopefully. Farewell.
On it.
Okay, so we've read on the efficacy of imps. Correspondence between Captains Raiki and Masquero. They often admire but questionably attired Captain Reiki. This letter should reach the Brass Citadel long before I do, which is lucky for you, because you'll need the time to make some Hazatoa winnings to settle our last bet. Never challenge a captain of the Rukwapa Koro Colonel spitting contest. My eldest knitted a pair of those fancy socks you love. So I hear Deadfire is the kind of place where it's nice to feel the sand between your toes. Maybe it really is the haven everyone says it is. You'll know before I do. When you see our sails, I have a pair of razor skewers, some rock, and about 30 loey nuts of varying sizes ready. In grand deeds and ill-advised wagers, Captain Masquero.
Will do. Nice and slow.
How may I?
Of course. I shall be discreet.
Well, it's not much, but it is a pickaxe I didn't have before. Let's see where this exits. Alright. Welcome to the party, Pest. While Pest is following you around, your melee damage is increased, and your party's melee attacks are more likely to critically hit.
We're awake right now, aren't we?
I shall.
I've got it.
Watch out. Okay. Hazanui Karu is currently meeting at the Palace in Serpent's Crown. Alright, so maybe the person we need to speak to is below.
By the kitchen.
They weren't that bad.
Rhyming Hazanui with kablooey?
I can't think of anything else that goes with Hazanui.
Me neither. That's why I leave epics to the lore college.
Criticism is easier than creation.
It's true. Well, let's go check out the jail. Food-stained tally sheets tucked beneath his battlefield model suggest it's been used for recreational purposes. A plaque below the coral reads, "As we shape coral, so shall we shape nations. In victory, Iranganui." The man behind the desk regards you with attentive, unblinking eyes and a perfectly open expression. His smooth features make it hard to pinpoint his age, though the crinkles at the corners of his eyes suggest he's not especially young. I feel like all the Amoa portraits look very young, though. He cocks his head, taking your measure. Except for Inouye, of course. He pauses before speaking, just a little longer than seems normal. When he finally does, he crosses his forearms over his chest, gives you a slow, exquisitely courteous nod. The whole gesture is so perfectly choreographed, it seems he must have practiced it many times.
Watcher Nui, the Lord of Cadnua.
He gives you a sleek half smile that reveals a row of perfect, pointed teeth. Yeah, I was curious about that. It means big. In his careful stare and the pause before he speaks, you recognize that he's studying you.
I'm not one for ostentation, but your remarkable display at Queen's birth suggests that you are an individual with skills, not mere style.
Say nothing.
Forgive me. It seems I forget myself.
His eyes shine with interest. He blinks, perhaps for the first time since your conversation began.
I am Atsura, Grand Secretary of the Royal Deadfire Company.
It sounds like a significant title, but he is strangely emotionless. He might as well be describing the color of his clothing. And what's your business here?
Rauatai has long maintained trade interests in the region.
He gives you that unusually placid smile again.
While our homeland is rich in saltpeter, the violent climate and rocky soils make it a poor source for most other basic staples. It's my business to look after the mainland's interests here.
He spreads his hands wide to include his rather plain, dim office. Do those interests include luminous Adra?
That is a Valian frivolity. Leave it to them to observe a substance that occurs nowhere else on Aora, and immediately set about pulverizing it for profit.
A ripple of distaste passes over his features. And what would you do with it?
Nothing. We know too little about luminous Adra to understand the consequences of ripping it out.
He pauses and considers you.
Perhaps you can help me keep them from doing more harm.
Yeah, that depends on what's in it for me.
We are powerful allies with a formidable fleet and mighty cannons. I'm sure we can come to a suitable arrangement.
The smile that has begun to spread across his lips vanishes as he launches into the matter. Yeah, they didn't like that.
The demand for luminous Adra has sent the Valian Trading Company into a frenzy. Their expeditions grow too bold, and their officers too greedy.
He puckers his lips as though at a lack of discretion at a dinner party.
Worse, their rapid expansion attracts pirates and threatens the outlying Huana tribes. This risks souring the Kahanga royals against all foreign involvement.
He inclines his head like he's about to let you in on a secret.
But you can curtail their growth.
This isn't about the welfare of the Deadfire. This is about them outpacing you.
By snapping up land we need to grow food and build ships for our people? Indeed. But our interests and Deadfire's are not mutually exclusive.
He interlaces his long, well-manicured fingers.
The Valians have sent an expedition to Poko Kahara, a storm-wrecked island believed to house a vein of luminous. I hear you accomplished an incredible feat in restoring the luminous Adra near Port Mage.
He appraises you again with those unblinking eyes.
If your abilities allow you to do that, then perhaps you are also capable of the opposite. Find the luminous Adra at Pococahara. Render it unusable to the Valians. This should encourage them to develop the resources they have, rather than reaching for more.
His eyebrows rise a degree, with a request and an invitation. But what's to say I don't tell the Valians about this?
For all their faults, they don't lack imagination. I'm confident they know of our intentions.
He laughs. I thought you were concerned about disturbing Luminous Adra.
Deeply.
He furrows his brow, frowning deeply. Abruptly, his expression clears.
But if a small sacrifice here will discourage the Valians from further ventures, then it is a worthwhile risk.
Alright, this might be a little redundant to what we asked earlier, but why would I help you?
Does a true-born son of Rawatai need to ask?
He smiles and indulgently waves away the question.
Rawatai is a mighty and wealthy nation, and with trouble brewing in the Deadfire, you'll find it useful to have an ally that is both.
Well, very well.
I do not have the precise location of Pococahara, but the tribe on the nearby island of Tikawara could probably help. I suggest starting there.
He circles a small, out-of-the-way island on your map.
Now, what else can I do for you?
But what exactly is the Brass Citadel? He hesitates, looking at you as if the answer is obvious.
It's a trading post, of course.
Your trading post has high walls, cannons, and guard towers.
Anything worth building is worth protecting. It's a trading post, of course.
What do you trade?
Rawatai is rich in saltpeter, copper, and a few other profitable minerals. We generally trade for food and timber, which grow poorly in the rough country. The Valians have become aggressive competitors in recent years, but our ships were plying the seas long before the Republic's declared independence. We learned the value of defending our goods and ships long ago.
He smiles placidly.
Clear skies.
He tilts his head as he watches you, his eyes unblinking.
It's a trading post, of course.
If you say so.
I just did.
He blinks at you. You seem different from the rest of the Royal Deadfire Company.
How do you mean that?
His eyes are attentive and utterly expressionless. You're hard to read.
It comes from years of practice. It's the only way I've learned to beat Karanui at Azatoa. How do you mean that?
You're not a soldier.
Rawatai is composed of many types, but it's true many here are soldiers and engineers, none of whom are especially diligent about paperwork.
He spreads his hands to encompass the scrolls on his desk and in the shelves behind him.
How do you mean that?
Come on, you know exactly what I mean. He lowers his head, watching you all the while.
Are you making advances at me?
He still has not blinked. No.
It's for the best. This would be a most inconvenient time to begin an attachment.
Alright, farewell. Allah's fingers fidget with the hem of his outfit, and his mouth is pressed into a thin frown. He gives you a familiar, uncertain look, as if he's trying to figure out what to say. Whatever this is, I don't want to hear it. What is it?
I hope you know I have immense respect for all you've accomplished.
He purses his lips around the inevitable but.
But lately, you don't seem to recognize the gravity of the situation before you. That troubles me.
What do you mean?
Chasing Aethys and treating with the leaders of Deadfire has put you in a position of incredible responsibility. You have a good heart. I've seen you follow it more than once. I only wish you took your role more seriously. It so often seems you're oblivious to the lives that depend on you. Or unconcerned by them.
His expression darkens. Well, what are you asking of me?
We both know the choices before us aren't always clear or simple. I only ask that you give them due attention.
I'll do my best, Aloth.
No more than any of us can do. Well, thank you for hearing me out. This is a great weight off my chest.
He nods. Alright, let me check something. But first off, what do we have? I wish it gave me a number for these. Oh, we're -1 with Aloth. He really didn't like what we just said to the, Etsura.
Dim in the lantern.
I've got it.
I'll see what I can. Aye.
All right.
That's subtle indeed. It is done.
Dim in the lantern.
Hey. Yes?
If you insist.
How may I help?
I really thought that, Alf and I were getting along pretty well.
On it.
Now, most of these papers are letters to home. Almost all praise Deadfire's weather. These rifles look perfectly maintained, ready for use at a moment's notice. It does seem like the Royal Deadfire Company is the military presence in the Deadfire.
Will do.
Someone has posted an earnest but excruciating attempt at epic poetry.
Yes?
Indeed.
I'll see what I can find. Aye? Aye? Nice and quiet.
Yeah?
Yes.
Quick save, 'cause I just don't trust the red circle
I shall.
under my companions. Alright, so this should take us back out to the front. Nope, I was wrong. I got it mixed up with the stairwell that took us up to the wall of the Citadel. Yeah, I think we're done in the Brass Citadel for now. So in the next episode, we'll head to the Sacred Stairway. I think that's where the Dawn Stars are located. Either we read that somewhere or someone told us. Sorry, the Sacred Stair, not Stairway.
Moths been eating through all my good clothes lately. Just realized why.
Why? It wouldn't happen to be on account of my lantern, would it?
I know you think it's funny, but the moths are so big here.
It's a divine light, meant to cut through the darkness. Of course it's gonna draw the biggest ones.
Oh, some of my pants wouldn't be polite to wear them in public anymore.
Alright, I'll call it here. Next episode, we'll begin exploring the Sacred Stair. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.